Hey guys, what's up? This is Caleb Pierce. I have the honor and the privilege of playing ZACK FAIR in Final Fantasy and Crisis Core, but I also have the honor and privilege of talking with Paul today about all things Screamo Rock Band, dentist appointments, and Final Fantasy. So stick around. We had a blast. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Points of Experience podcast. If you forgot who I am, I'm Paul Castro Jr., the host of this crazy, fantastical, beautiful podcast that I've had the pleasure to do over the past year with over 60 episodes recorded with some of the best guests I could have ever imagined in my life. And we are here starting season 2 with kind of a dream guest for me. You all know, as you just heard, I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. I mean, my room is littered with Final Fantasy memorabilia. I've got a clock of Sephiroth, Cloud, and ZACK FAIR, who we are interviewing today. Caleb Pierce, the voice of ZACK FAIR. ZACK, you're going to hear a lot about why I have been so in love with ZACK, why Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII Advent Children and Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth have been so influential to me in my life. But truly to have the voice of ZACK FAIR here, Caleb Pierce, who is not only a wonderful and kind and generous human being, but extremely talented and so fantastic in this series. Really getting to experience the reunion of Crisis Core, to see that again in that quality, with the take that he has brought to the character, and to see everything that we're seeing so far in Remake and the excitement that I have for Rebirth and everything that I can't even imagine what we're in store for. Caleb truly is a fantastic vessel for bringing ZACK to life, and really, truly, honestly, one of my most favorite characters of all time. If you don't already know him from his Final Fantasy work, he's also done tons of TV and film. He's been on The Real O'Neills. He's done just so much fantastic work in Secure. He did Timmy Turner in the live action Fairly Odd Parents. And he really shares a lot about his journey, what it's like voicing Zack, becoming a part of the Final Fantasy franchise, getting to have this opportunity to work in Remake and Crisis Core and beyond. Really great advice, really open, honest conversations about what it's like to be an actor here in Los Angeles. So if any of those things interest you, please stick around. And before we get to the segment, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel here if you're listening on one of your podcast platforms. Leave us a review or like it, subscribe it, whatever the version of that is on wherever you're listening to it. If you're listening from space, we appreciate you. If you're listening from your home or at a workout or on your computer on YouTube, we thank you as well. Thank you for coming along here for the journey. We appreciate you. Season 2 of the Points of Experience podcast, starting with Caleb Pierce, the voice of ZACK FAIR, coming right at you. Caleb, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, which is going to be
This is
amazing.
the highlight of my life. I can already tell.
Of your life. Wow. High bar here. Seriously,
High bar.
I'm my gosh, I hope it is nearly as good as what you're saying. But like I was telling you before, this is kind of, I'm imagining for people here, this is the first episode since our first season of the Points of Experience, and who better than the voice of one of my favorite characters of all time, and I mean this with full sincerity, and I'll get into this in a second. Like Zack, he was such a beloved character for me growing up, and you did such a fantastic job, and I'm so excited for everything, and we'll get into all of that stuff.
Paul, you're my new favorite person.
But I mean it, and I'll give you a little quick before we get into it. I mean, I played Final Fantasy VII when it came out around that time in 97 or 98, and at that time...
Wait, can I ask, how old were you then? Like 97, 98?
7. I was 7.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I literally remember begging. I've said this story before because it's kind of the inspiration to my video game aspirations in a way. I had to beg my dad to get me a PlayStation, but we couldn't afford it, so I got a
Mm.
used one from
Oh
my
wow.
local game store. And Final Fantasy VII was the first game I ever got on my PlayStation,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I played that game to death. Like
Wow.
literally, I can still put myself in the places I was, like what was happening around me in my life playing that game for the first
Mm.
time. And the cool part about talking with you right now and about Zach is he was such this mysterious figure. And I think a
Mhm.
lot of people around my age who were playing the game at the time were like, wait, who is this person?
Wait, back up, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what is going on with this character? What,
Mm.
is he the dude that's sick in Sector 7? Why are we only getting this one scene in
Right.
Hojo's lab or whatever? All this stuff that existed. And then we get the uh Crisis Core eventually, and then
Yeah.
that became the reason why I bought a PSP. And
Oh wow.
I literally fell in love with Zach, and then like I literally bought this game. I don't know if you've ever heard of it or if anyone's ever mentioned it to you. Air Guys. It was a fighting
No.
game. It's a fighting game that Square had like Sephiroth, Zach, and Cloud. There might have been like Tifa too, but like
Oh
it
my
was like
gosh.
I was so obsessed with like figuring out like who Zach was, and
Yeah,
for more reasons just than the fact that he looked badass. But and
he does. Yeah.
then we'll get into that. But truly, it's really an honor and a privilege to have you on the show, especially with Rebirth and everything that has come out within the
Mm.
past few years. So thank you. Long way of
Yeah.
saying thank you and congrats.
Oh wow, Paul, that was just an amazing story. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for having me on. I'm actually really excited to meet you as well,
Oh
because
man.
you've done a ton of VO stuff, and I have some questions for you.
Oh, well, listen, I'm an open book. So any question, I'm listening here. We're going to have a great conversation, but
Yeah.
I would love to just to get to know you, because you've had a really amazing career thus far. And I feel
Mm.
like this has been an icing on the cake moment for you
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Rebirth. I mean, here we go. First off, you guys just had like a launch party type
Oh
of
my
thing the
gosh.
other day. How was that?
It was wild. It was so fun. It was actually yesterday, and you know how
There
it
we go.
is, like doing VO work, is you don't get to meet anyone else that you're doing
Yeah.
the games with, or and so just meeting people in person for the first time, and like being able to see our scenes together, but having never met the actor was just wild. So it was
Yeah.
it was just so joy filled. And yeah, there were like incredible photo op moments and a Buster Sword, and just it felt like we were living the game, which was a blast.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So was that kind of the well, you had Crisis Core Reunion before that, but was this
right.
kind of this has really been, I think, Zach's moment to take the
Mm,
stage in a way, I feel
yeah,
like, and we're even seeing it in the marketing material for
right.
Rebirth in a way. We're seeing it. We're
That was
seeing it.
crazy when I saw
Yeah.
the front cover. I'm like, oh man, it's getting real. Yeah.
Which is so fun and I think exciting. And I remember reading something where obviously, we're not going to talk about spoilers of the game and stuff like that, but it's been said publicly that we're going to see and learn about Zach and his history, or the way that he plays into the storyline in this
Mm,
game. And that's, I think, something that for me as an OG fan and for
mhm.
me as a Rebirth fan, I mean, obviously I'm in the game too, to a certain
Right.
small extent, but it's just being a fan of this franchise, to take this character that originally was supposed to not even really exist,
Crazy.
and to
Yeah.
now see the influence that he's had from the love of the fans and from the love of the way that the character is written, has got to be,
Yeah.
it's got to be amazing for you to
I
be
mean, I
in.
think that's a big reason why he's gotten to take his platform, is just because of the fans. And I know, like, when I first auditioned for this, Paul, I don't know what you're like when you got an audition for this. Was it like a code name?
Oh yeah,
Name?
yeah.
Yeah, you had no clue what you were auditioning for. I was the same way. And I think my audition was maybe 5 lines. This was maybe 5 years ago. I think it was like 5 lines in the
Oh
booth.
my god.
Sent it off, and then a year later, I got an email at like 6:30 in the morning. It was the craziest, like just so unexpected that they said I had booked it. And I had no idea that when I booked that, just a few lines on the first game, that
Yeah.
it would turn into getting to do my own game with Zach of Crisis Core, and now getting to have a bit more of a platform in this game. And it's
Yeah.
just like it's something I could have never imagined for myself, and I still have those imposter syndrome moments of like, did they choose the right guy? Because, you just, it's just unbelievable. And it's something that like, if 8-year-old Caleb knew, he'd be like, he wouldn't believe it. I still don't
Oh
believe it. So,
man.
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Were when growing up, and this is a great intro to this type of stuff, but were you a big gamer? Were you interested in Final Fantasy? Did that have a role in your life at all? Or
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'm a terrible gamer. I'm not really gifted at it. The having to like press keys, like press controls while playing is just not my strength. My brothers are huge gamers.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of growing up watching them playing games. Now, of course, I'm very heavily involved in the story. And since joining the Final Fantasy world, my wife and I, we've been able to play the games, which has been an absolute blast. But no, honestly, as a younger kid, I didn't really know how to play. I just would watch my brothers. But I also think that's something that kind of helped with coming to the Final Fantasy world is I didn't quite realize I came in with a bit more of just getting to play like in the audition because I didn't realize how big of thing Final Fantasy was, which I think kind of worked in my favor in a way of maybe being a little naive into just the impact of Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
like if I knew today what I did now, I think I would have been way more nervous in the audition booth.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful that was my path into this because I think I would have just psyched myself out.
Yeah, I mean it's a tremendous role, and it's something that I think right now it's this kind of lightning in a bottle, the way that video games are becoming mainstream and celebrity worthy, and it's larger than life, and the gaming industry is larger than it's ever been before, bigger than the movie industry. So really this is kind of like the precipice, I feel like, of what this industry has to offer to actors in a way. Like 5 years ago, you're in a game like this, you're not main stage Comic-Con in this fashion. That's just not how it works. But now it's so pop culture, it's so mainstream. It's you're really at the frontier of what the gaming industry and acting and Hollywood, I think that mesh is going to become.
It's insane. And like you said, 5 years ago, you could have never predicted that. But I just feel like I'm riding this wave and loving every minute of it. But wait, I have to ask you. So being a huge fan of the game since you were 7, you didn't know that you were auditioning for it when you went in, or did you? Like, were you able to pick up on the clues that, this may be Final Fantasy?
I can't. Well, I think for my character, because he was I think they might have had Chocobo in the audition sides. I can't remember exactly, but I think I kind of knew to a certain degree.
Knew that was a dead giveaway.
And I had already worked on Neo: The World Ends With You, which was a lot of the similar team that was working on this game. So I was kind of piecing the puzzle pieces together for me. And I also had to do a callback. So it wasn't like they just gave me the role. I had to audition and I had to do a callback.
Okay, wait, so tell me about like the timing of that. You auditioned and then what happened?
I auditioned, and I remember I think what I did in my audition is because he's obviously there's no voice print for the character that I play, although he is a character that exists in the original game. I definitely think I did him with a hard Southern accent. Like I gave him like,
I love that.
We're gonna be ratting and rearing chocobos all the time. There, Cloud. Like I went pretty hard, and then I also gave them a version that wasn't as far in that direction. Which
I love that.
Yeah. So they were like, all right, let's not go so far in that direction. And I think we found a really nice medium of moments where he's a rancher, but he's not from the deep south.
Right. Yeah. Did you feel like once you knew you had booked it, you were in the recording studio, did you feel the pressure, or were you able to just enjoy doing it?
I think if I hadn't, a little bit of both, and I'm curious what it was for you when you first got in the booth too, because I had done Neo and I had worked with a lot of the same people like Kirk and all the engineers over at Skylark, so I kind of knew a little bit of what that was so I felt comfortable. And even with the localizers, Matt, Ferd, like I got to work with people who I had been familiar with, and so I wasn't as nervous. It was so surreal to be a part of the franchise, and I was like over the moon ecstatic. But I think had I done that first for me because I'm such a fan. Like you were saying, I
Yeah.
might have been like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just a little too,
Yeah.
How
I'm just
about
gonna
for
quit
you?
acting altogether. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you for your first moments in the booth? Was it
Oh
like,
my
did they,
gosh.
you just
Well,
found out right there and then, or you got a phone call before that?
yeah, so for the first game, I mean, I auditioned, like I had said, I had auditioned a year prior. So it's kind of, you know how auditions are, like you audition and then you try as best you can to forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm someone that like it lingers for me. It's really hard for me to forget about it. But after a year, I definitely been able to like, move past it. So it was really surreal of getting the email. And I think this may be incorrect because it was 5 years ago. I feel like I was recording like that very next week. So it was a really quick turnaround of once I heard I was recording, and the team was just so welcoming, kind, friendly. There was no pretense of like there was no like arrogance. It was all just very collaborative and like, hey, we're so excited to have you here and welcome. And then of course going in for Crisis Core, there was definitely the pressure of Rick had come before me and was
Sure.
amazing in what he did. And so there was the pressure of feeling like, okay, how much of this do I need to just like copy Rick and honor him? And then how much freedom is there to bring maybe a bit more of my flavor and version? And from day one, Kirk, who's amazing, before we started recording, came into the booth and just really gave me the freedom of like, hey, you were picked for this for a reason. We want you to bring you, and we're going to honor Rick in this. And it's just going to be a fun time getting to
Yeah.
discover Zach. So we actually in Crisis Core, we started recording a few scenes into the game, so that way I could really have a chance to find, who Zach was. We did
Yeah.
a lot of watching what Rick had done. We actually watched everything that Rick had done, which was pretty amazing that they took the time for us to do that and dissect his
Wow.
take on it. And then we were able to, so once I, a weekend had really found the groove and my flavor of in my voice of who Zach was, we got to go back to the very beginning and go from there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I felt like it was just very collaborative. It was a safe environment. They were okay telling me like, yeah, we're not going to go in that direction for Zach if I tried something. But then they were also great at if I tried something that was a little different, being like, wait, we actually really like that. Let's dive into that a bit more.
That's
Yeah, it
amazing.
felt very safe, but also like a place to take risk and to be able to fail, and be told like, hey, this isn't the way that we're going, and just kind of pick back up and try other things until we found his voice.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very interesting predicament. The only way that I can really relate, because you're taking on a role that existed to a certain extent in a thing, and then you're putting your own take on it.
Right.
I had a similar thing with Neo where people are basing things off of a first iteration of a game, and then I was coming in for a sequel. But I
Yeah.
have to imagine for you, you had a little bit of that pressure of like, okay, but where is the line? And that probably took some time to find.
Yeah. Right.
How much are we going for? And the fact that you got to watch that is phenomenal. Kirk is a
Mhm.
great person.
Yeah.
And I do believe, and I hope you have come to realize this too, you did get picked for a reason, because I
Yeah.
think what you bring to the role is this youthfulness and this Zach really is this kind of golden retriever type of character where he really sees the what life has to offer, and he wants to be a hero, and he finds protecting and honor and all these things that are so prevalent in Crisis Core through Angeal. But
Yeah.
what you bring to the role, which I really enjoy, and I think I would love to hear your take on it, is that real youthful innocence of like, almost like as like a 17-year-old who's going into the military, and they're like, all right,
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm here to do something. I'm here to make something happen. I want to make something in my life.
Yeah.
Where do I go? And finding that inspiration through other people. Did
Mm.
you feel like that's something that you brought,
Oh,
that light to the role?
yeah. You know what? I felt like I was able to sit into what I brought and honor Rick, but also realize that what we bring two different souls to the role. And
Yes.
I've been asked before, like, how was that adapting and bringing that puppy dog, flair to Zach? And I kind of feel like I was just playing me, which was
Yeah.
a real gift. You know how it is. Like, there's some roles that you get that you really have to like, okay, I'm becoming this person, and like maybe you go method but for Zach, I really just felt like he was just so easy to connect with because I
Yeah.
saw so much of myself in him that I really felt the freedom to just sit into who I was and bring that to Zach. And yeah, I have that same soul as Zach, as the happy-go-lucky, the always believe in the best. And
Yeah.
it was just a real gift to get to bring that to a character that I love so much,
Yeah, he
yeah.
really is a glass half full guy, and I mean, he goes through the ringer in Crisis Core with every emotion you can imagine, and
Yeah.
I'm really, I'm just so excited. I mean, without getting into the spoilers of what happens in the original game, really,
Hmm.
or the uh, he has such an influence on Cloud, and he has been so influenced by Angeal to see kind of like that torch passing thing that had happened in Crisis Core, and then to see the kind of like Cloud live out my legacy, like
Yeah.
take this on, and to be like, okay, well, now how does this exist from here? It
Mm.
just has me so excited to see what further influence that a character that literally Cloud is. I mean, that's the end of Crisis Core. I mean, this is a spoiler if you haven't played the game yet. Please go play
Yeah.
Crisis Core. But
Mute
that
the
ending,
screen, but yeah, we're
yeah,
about to say it right.
that ending scene in Crisis Core and the way that it leaves Cloud. I mean, we see it in so many iterations of Final Fantasy and Advent Children. We see it
Mm.
in the end of Remake, and then
Yeah.
we keep seeing that image, the way that impact. It's so important. Was that one of those scenes that for you that like that you got to watch first, and then you're like, holy
Whoa.
freaking shit! Like, what am I about to do here?
Yeah, that scene was one of the most precious to me, if not the most precious scene. And absolutely got to watch what Rick did, and we just took our time with it until we got there. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like, all right, we need to keep moving. Like, we really got to dive deep in there and just keep going after it until we found it. And I'm really proud of what we found
Yeah,
in the story, that we got to tell with that. And yeah, I just think it's just so powerful that, your legacy, I mean, spoiler, but your legacy carries on even after you're no longer here,
yeah,
and just the perspective of what you're dreaming for now is going to have a lasting impact on generations to come. I just think it's such a powerful story, and just such a reminder too of our time is just so brief here,
yeah,
on Earth, but the legacy that we can have can last way longer than that. And just what like a powerful story and message. I couldn't ask for a better project to be a part of.
yeah,
You know how it is. You want to be a part of projects that you um, resonates with your soul and story. And there's some auditions or projects that come through that you're like, all right, like, I just really want to act, but this was one that was just like, I can't wait to tell this story.
yeah. The
Yeah.
story is beloved by so many for a reason, and I think it has something for everybody in the universal thing of legacy and honor and pride and having worth and influencing the people around you. Makes me curious. Did you have a mentor figure in your life, or have you been privileged at this point in your life to be kind of a mentor to anybody that
Mm.
you know?
Wow. Yeah, so I have two amazing mentors. One's name is Scott Wernz. Shout out to Scott. And the other's name is Catherine Sullivan. Shout out Catherine. But they're my two, like, I just always loved acting as a kid and loved storytelling. And they were my two mentors that just really, Scott was my high school theater teacher, and
Mm,
Catherine was my film and VO coach. And they just really saw something in me, and spoke into that and challenged me and pushed me. And maybe I didn't want to be pushed. But yeah, of just like knowing that I have a dream and had someone to push me into going after that is just so relevant to Zach's story,
I mean,
and you
yeah,
need that. You need a mentor who's willing to be honest with you, that you respect, but also, can tell you like, hey, you're going in this direction, you need to be going in that direction.
yeah,
Yeah, and thankfully now, I mean, my wife and I both, we just have a real heart for dream chasers and people pursuing dreams. So every 4 months, I work with a school actually and get to just mentor some dream chasers out here, which is, yeah, it's just so rewarding to now get to do that, to like how someone did that for me. you know.
Yeah, it's
You
so
have
crazy
that
too. I
as well? Like,
absolutely, I definitely have many mentors, and I do some of my own mentoring as well through NYU, which is
oh my
my
gosh.
alma mater. So I get to do that now with students who are leaving school. But
Oh wow.
it's so funny that you say that you just reminded me because you talk about dream chasing. What an analogy for the character of Zach and literally
Yeah,
embracing your dreams,
right.
pursuing acting in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And getting ready for this podcast, was looking at some videos of you, and you've said this before. This is not like a new thing that you've talked about. You talk about being a dream chaser
Mm,
in your life. I've seen videos of you saying that, and it's so crazy to see that synchronicity of the way that you, I assume, live your life chasing this dream of acting and Hollywood and television, theater and video games, everything. To see that be truly reflected in a character to the point where that's like their motto:
yeah,
embracing your dreams,
right.
chasing your dreams.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and I think that's too why it was just so easy to connect with Zach, because those similarities of, we had different dreams in a way, but
Sure.
also the same desire to see those dreams fulfilled. And you know how it is out here of the highs and the lows and riding the wave. And I'm curious, Paul, what keeps you going in the dream chasing for you? Like,
I
when you
think I'm
have
probably
you get off doing Final Fantasy, and get to tell your parents like, oh my gosh, this game that I played as a kid, I'm doing, and then you have dry seasons of just like, okay, when's my next job coming? What keeps you going through all that?
I'm sure it's probably similar to a lot of yours, and I'd love to hear your answer. But it's crazy because of a certain part of it becomes when you create this career, and this is a great tidbit for anybody who is a aspiring actor or they're already in their journey. Is at some point when you make that transition to say, I'm committing everything to this, and this is going to pay my bills. You
Mm,
have a financial obligation to keep pursuing, and if you have a family of your own, like I have
yeah.
a bit of that myself. I have tons of animals. I have a partner who I help support and
Wait,
everything,
I
and
love this. How many
it's
animals do you have?
I've got 4 cats and a bunny right now, so it's a barnyard here.
So
Do you have
it's a full
animals?
house. We have
Yeah.
no pets.
Okay. Okay. Well, if you decide to get any cats or bunnies, definitely open book resource for you.
Okay.
But that's a part of it for me, and also just because I think as an actor, and I'm curious if you feel this way too, even when you finish a job, it's not like your dream is to build a house and you built the house and the dream is over. The
Mm,
dream is constantly, I feel like for me, expanding my knowledge of humanity and the truth, and constantly
wow.
searching for more and more and more and of what I have to offer to storytelling. And
Yeah.
then it's
Right.
also inspiring others to be like, hey, you can do this too. And also for me, and I want to know more about you, please, this is a podcast about you.
Wait, I have a million questions for you.
I listen.
I'm loving this right now.
It's this dream is so hard. It is so hard, and there's so many people pursuing it. It's so subjective.
Yeah.
To give a little bit of light to the next generation of people that you can do it despite adversity, despite whatever your challenges might be. That's what it was for me. I had to fight really through really hard times in my life to just kind of get seen, and then to see like got a little glimmer of something that it is possible, but it takes a
Yeah.
lot of hard work. How
Right.
about for you? Why do you keep
Yeah.
chasing it?
I mean, same thing. I think one, you just have like, I've heard, yeah, I'm sure you have too. If you can see yourself doing anything else, do that, just
Do that.
because you're saving yourself the emotional, toll and the hardship that it takes. But I just, probably like you, I just can't see myself doing anything else. Like there's no
Mm.
plan B for me. I just love storytelling. I feel like it's a connection even to the divine of just like, I feel like I experience God the most when I'm doing what I love and what I feel like I've been made to do,
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, there's no other option. I just love it so much. But I think the tough thing can be, for anyone that's pursuing this, is they see that Paul's on Final Fantasy or that I'm doing Crisis Core, but they don't see the 120 auditions that we sent in before that and we didn't hear anything back.
Yep.
I think I had been auditioning for VO maybe 3 years, like going to the booth every time at my agency, recording, doing the work, and just hearing nothing back. Final Fantasy was the first time I heard back.
Wow.
So I think there can be this maybe illusion of like you and me getting to do something as big as Final Fantasy, and is like, well, I could never do that. But I think if you love it and you train and you're willing to take the no's. I just see it happens for the people out here that are just in it for the long game, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to navigate, and it's definitely, I think that's where the imposter syndrome can come in. Is even when you book a role, you're remembering all the times you heard no, and you're
Yep.
thinking like, did they make a mistake? Did they mean to tell me yes? And thankfully, or at least with this project, you have a team of people that remind you of, no, yeah, we want your voice, we want
Yeah.
you and what you bring. But yeah, that can be a tough thing as an actor to navigate as well.
Every job, and I talk about this a lot with people. I mean, I don't think there's a job where I don't have, and I think it's healthy for a certain reason because it
Right, I
constantly
do too.
keeps you in check to
Yeah.
be like, all right. I remember the first time I did Neo, which I played the main character in that Square game, and I firmly believed after I left that studio, I'm like, they didn't give me a second session. It's
Wait.
not. They're gonna wrong guy,
Yeah,
wrong Paul Castro. You know what I mean?
same.
Like
Yeah.
it every single time. And I think obviously there's a part of the imposter syndrome which can become unhealthy, but I think the part of it that is, like I said, worth taking away is that desire to do good work, to create good art, to tell the truth, and to
Yeah.
be the best version, to be what people deserve, to
Yeah.
give a product that is worthy of consumption to a certain
Yeah.
degree. Your truth, give that to the audience.
And I think
um
it's like you said, I think it's a healthy thing to have that because it means that it matters to you.
yes.
It means that you care so much about it that you want to make sure it's in the right hands. And so, yeah, I think it's a healthy thing, and it actually makes you do better work because it kind of ups your game,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love that.
As an actor, I see you really, I mean, obviously with Zach, because I got to consume so much of your performance through it, but I really see somebody and a character of somebody who's having fun, truly enjoying themselves. And I see so much of what you're saying you bring probably of yourself to the role, this
Mm.
enthusiasm, this light, this brightness, this fun. And then I got to watch some of your other stuff, and you really seem like an actor who can find the play, can find the fun, can
Oh,
find the
wow.
enjoyment.
Yeah.
Um, that one series you did where you play like one of those tech guys, I don't remember the name of the
Yeah.
show.
Insecure. That
Insecure,
one.
yeah. You just have such a take on things that's so unique in the way that you deliver your comedy. Where is that light, that brightness, all of this joy and enthusiasm that you have as an actor? Where does that come from? Or where does that come from in your life?
Whoa. Oh my gosh. I'd say first and foremost, my relationship with God. I spend each morning, like I was just reading the Bible this morning, of just, yeah, I think there's something about knowing that the picture is bigger than you. It's not
Mm,
about you, it's about love and people. We always say in our home, people's the most important thing, and so I think just having that reminder each day of checking in with God and being like, hey, what is your heart for people? And I believe his heart is that people are amazing and are a reflection of him,
yeah,
and so even this combo with you, Paul, of just the encouragement you're sending my way, and I feel like it's just heaven sent of um yeah. And so I think that's mainly where I get it from. I think if you're looking to the industry to give you that, or even to people, my wife's my best friend on this earth, but we disappoint each other, and
yeah,
the industry especially. I wrestle with that of finding my joy in the industry. And it's really
yeah,
great whenever you're doing something like Crisis Core or Final Fantasy. And it's really tough whenever you've gone a year without working,
yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say it comes with that, but you're the same way. I mean, just so engaging and genuine, but you really care about people. Where does that come from for you?
Well, thank you, and it's also very kind of you to share that, and it's beautiful that you have that relationship with God, and it influences you in such a positive and a bright way. And I have to agree. For me, it's mine comes from, man. It is a tough question now that you put myself on the other side of it. Man, that's great.
I mean, what, like, first instinct, where like your gut
No,
reaction?
yeah. My gut reaction is growing up was very hard for me. And I think through media to a certain extent, or my friends, I had a lot of friends growing up, and I would spend a lot of time in their home, and their homes were always
Yeah.
brighter than my home. And I always thirsted for, I'm like, wait, this does exist. This light does exist around. There is brightness. There
Wow.
is purpose, with community and family and all these things, and I didn't have as much of that.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to bring that into my life, into other people's lives. And storytelling tends to be a good medium to influence people in that way.
Wow.
So I never knew I wanted to be an actor, and I would love to get to circle back for you too. I didn't find storytelling, acting, this whole journey until I was in college, and it was
Oh
like
my gosh.
the biggest blessing I could have ever had. And it changed my life.
And
What
you're
about
doing it. Like, you
yeah.
found it in college and you're doing it, which is such a gift.
I truly, and I'm curious about you too. I don't believe I've seen some of the most, from doing New York theater, I have seen some of the most fantastic actors I've ever seen in my life that
Mm,
don't work all the time. It's a reminder that just because you are the most talented does not mean you will work. And
yeah.
it also reminds me that you need a little something else to stay in this game and to push through. You need that determination, that will, that perseverance.
Mhm.
Because it's such a difficult career. Do you, in your life, where does that come from for you to just keep
Whoa.
returning to it?
Yeah, I think a big thing is community, like you mentioned. I mean, you need people in your life that love you, whether you're on a show or working on something, or whether you haven't worked in 3 years,
Yep.
or you've never worked. And I think it's important to realize who those people are before you hit a big project, because everyone loves connecting when you're on the height of your game and you're doing something great. It's
Yep.
the people that stick around when you're not doing anything, that love you just for you.
Yep.
And I think it's so important to have community like that one, reminds you who you are outside of the industry, but two, reminds you that you have a voice and a place in the industry as well.
Mm.
Some of my best friends don't do a thing in the industry, but I love them because they remind me who I am outside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Beautifully said. I think that's so important. A lot of people allow this industry, Hollywood's especially, and everything that comes with it, to define who they are as a human. And that can become one of the most, I think, vicious cycles of somebody, especially with social media, is when your value is defined by your success or your public success, the perception that the world, social media, has of success, and you
right.
don't see that in tremendous abundance, because it is so hard to have tremendous abundance in this career.
Yeah,
It is so
right.
competitive. You see who don't have a good understanding of who they are outside of what the industry thinks of them really struggle.
Mm,
So having a healthy relationship with who you are, the people around you, what your worth is, what your purpose is,
yeah.
that humanity and connection and community is kind of paramount to anything.
Mm.
If you don't have a little bit of that, I can find this industry very hard to navigate.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% agree, and I actually don't know that the industry's doable if you don't have that.
Yeah.
I see. I mean, some people come out here and it's not for them, and that's absolutely just as valid as the people that are chasing it. But the ones that are chasing it, the ones that I see stick around, have the community,
Yeah.
aspect for that. I'm curious for you, Paul, though, like doing something like all the stuff that you've done, voiceover wise. What is the most rewarding part of that for you? Is it being in the booth, working with the team? Is it being able to talk about it afterwards to people that have, like, what is it for you?
I think there's moments of reward in each one of those steps along the process. It's hard
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
to separate it, because I think there's the excitement of knowing something beforehand and having the excitement leading up to that, the research, the preparation, the getting to
Mhm.
meet a team of people that are excited about this, that you're going to work on it. And then in the process, it's getting to find the part of this that I think probably you and we do this for, is the experience, and that finding the expression and the truth that we can offer to this role, and finding stuff out about ourselves in the process of it. I think I
Yeah,
learned
right.
so much about myself on each job I do,
Mhm.
as a human, and what I have to share, and the things that are important to me. And then afterwards, it's celebrating with the fans and getting to connect with like-minded artists like yourself, and people
Yeah.
who are that really have a voice and have a way of expression that connects with the world. Because we don't make, I mean, some people make art and they keep it in the closet and they don't share it, but I think our
Right.
industry as actors, it is to be shared, it is to
Mhm.
be experienced by others. And I love connecting with other people who are getting to do that, have had the opportunity to do that, And I love that as much as the people who haven't gotten their opportunity yet to do that. But I
Yeah.
know to get where you are, to get where I've been, it takes a lot of something. Takes a lot of mental fortitude. Takes a lot
Hmm.
of something. And it's the thing I think I envy most about, and I respect most about people like you who have gotten to these moments of perceived um societal success in the eyes of the world. So
That
um
was such a like beautiful way to phrase that. 'Cause I don't think I've ever used any of those words, perceived and societal, but you just made that work great.
well, because I think it is. And do you agree that it is, like you said it in the beginning, people see, they think, they say, oh, this guy just got Zach. Here we go. There we go. That's easy. They don't see the auditions that went into things. And they don't,
Right.
we know that because we're
Mhm.
actors. We know
Yeah.
the game of what it takes to get to that one moment, to get that win. And then
Yeah.
we don't know what that win is going to become in,
Right.
we don't know the number that's going to get drawn to say that, like, that's the one I got. That's the one that's going to be the
Mm.
big cataclysm that's of success of everybody's talking about. We don't know that. We just get lucky in that
Yeah.
way. I've worked on some projects that have gotten no attention, that are some of the most rewarding acting experiences I've ever
Right.
had.
Yeah.
And we just don't know what is the thing that is that the public is just gonna raise up on the chair and
Yeah.
be obsessed with.
Right. Yeah. And I think too, it's not our job to determine that or to make that happen. It's just we just do it because we love it, and
Yeah,
then thankfully, incredible people who love the story as much as we do come along and give it a platform and a voice, like with Final Fantasy and Crisis Core. And
yeah.
that's one of the most amazing parts of doing this is when that happens.
Where did you fall in love? What point in your life, or what age, or where were you where you fell in love with acting, or the version of storytelling that led you to become an actor?
Oh my gosh. So I have two brothers who are amazing and are so supportive. They don't act at all. They played sports, and my parents signed me up for soccer, and I hated it.
That was me too.
I used to beg my coach. I'm like, please don't make me goalie. Please don't make me goalie.
Yeah.
I think when I joined the team, the coach introduced me. He's like, hey guys, this is Caleb. He's never played soccer before, but his brother has. So let's welcome him to the team. I'm like, hey guys, it was just not my thing.
Yeah.
And my dad took me to see, that musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Of course.
Of
Yeah.
course. My dad took me to see that, and I think I was like 6 maybe, and just I fell in love with it. We went back 3 times to see it, and I think from then on, I've been in love with it ever since.
Since
And
6.
since 6, yeah. I got in.
Were
What?
you able to discern that the acting was the thing that you fell in love with, or was it the experience?
Oh, it was
of
the experience at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I would be in my room, playing the soundtrack to Joseph or whatever, Little Shop of Horrors or, whatever it
Yep.
was. And like blaring that, acting out every scene in my room with the door shut. And so, yeah, my parents were amazing at helping shepherd the dream. I got in classes when I was, I think, 7, weekly classes, and
Wow.
I never stopped. Like I'm still in classes now, and I'm 30,
Yep.
so they just really helped like see that this is what I loved, and helped spearhead that. And so, yeah, I think it was just kind of since then, I just knew I wanted to do that,
Wow.
and did you grow up in New York, Paul, or did you move out there?
I grew up in Brooklyn, and then my family moved to Jersey when I was around 7, and then I
Okay.
moved back to New York for school. So I spent
So
more
I
time in New
know
York than anywhere.
Yeah, I love your life. But I know that you didn't find that like as your career. You knew you were going to do it as career till college, but like as a kid, did you ever go see a show in New York, and like did that resonate with you, or did you not? Did you not ever do that?
I don't think I mean, I had seen like some plays that my school had put on, but the type of environment that I grew up around, like in my adolescent teen years in Jersey, it was like if you were doing anything in theater, that was like the least masculine thing that you could be doing. And it
Right.
was
Yeah, it's made fun
extremely,
of, and
yeah,
yeah,
extremely shunned upon. I never could even have thought about that. Like any sort of like thing like that, especially the people I grew up around with, is like that was, you were basically going to another planet if you were to do that in the
right.
circles that I were in and in my family. And then, but I think the first play that I ever saw, I don't know. I think I actually experienced it for myself first doing it, which was kind of interesting in a way. I had gotten the courage at some point to audition for I always liked singing. I sang in
Okay.
like a hardcore band. I like, that says a lot about who I am. I had a lot of screaming to do in
I
my
can
life.
see that. I can see that.
And
Yeah.
so I expressed things that way first, and then that translated into me loving singing, and then eventually auditioning for a musical. And then in school, I wound up through college, I wound up seeing more shows. And the first play I can remember that I fell in love with, though, was Jerusalem with Mark Rylance.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I haven't seen that.
it was that to me was kind of that similar moment where I was like looking at somebody on stage, going, "How are they? What is going on here? How are they
Mm,
having this kind of influence on me? Are they that like I didn't really I
right.
I never really had the even while I was doing theater,
I'm
it
like
wasn't
getting chills while you're saying this.
wow. I never really had that moment of being like you could be an actor. Like it wasn't
Mm,
until I had that moment where I was like, wait a second, that's a real person that's going to go home and go take a shower and
right.
go do their laundry,
Yeah.
and they're doing that at the same time. Like those things
Mhm.
never crossed for me.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. But you just remember the experience
The
and walking away
experience
from
for
that. Yeah.
sure. Yeah, but I think the
It's
thing
with
I
you.
fell in love with acting was just being able to have fun
Mm,
and allow your vulnerability to be the thing that was rewarded, because that wasn't the way it was for me in my life. Being
right.
vulnerable wasn't rewarded, but you go on stage and you have a monologue that makes people cry and people clap. I was like, "Whoa, what's that
Mm,
about?" It
yeah.
was influence.
Right.
Um
And it was
how did
celebrated. The things in your real life, I'm sure in Jersey, like the idea of, you being vulnerable was not something that was like, hey, you should do that.
No, 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 no,
But
no.
then going and performing, like that's something that is what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It's crazy. So how did your love evolve from seeing Joseph in the tech? You just decided I'm going to stay in classes. I'm going to go to
Yeah,
high school and
thankfully.
do it, college. How did that evolve?
Right. So as a young kid, I just got to start auditioning. I got a local agent in Dallas, and I I don't know how this happened, but I booked the first like commercial audition I went on. My mom had spike. I never wore my hair spiky, but my mom for the audition like spiked my hair all the way up. It was for a Hasbro toy commercial, and
Oh,
I
that's
just
totally the vibe.
yeah yeah right. But it was surreal going into audition. I didn't know about like the pressure of like needing to book, or I just came in as me,
And had
and
fun.
my parents didn't really understand the industry in the best way. You would see at these casting calls like parents who it was actually their dream and they were needing their kids to do it.
Yeah.
My parents didn't understand the world really at all. And that really was in my favor because there was never the pressure to book or any of that. It was just like, hey, you love doing this. Yeah, go have fun. We'll drive you to these. So then getting to do that first commercial and like working as an actor, I was like, this is people do this. This is amazing. So yeah, thankfully I just got to work on some things in Dallas and then started getting like close on some things out in LA. And I think that just really set the dream there of like I can do this and I want to do this.
When did you move out here?
I moved out in 2015.
Okay, so you've been here
So I've
for
been here. Yeah, this is my ninth year.
mhm.
I love it out here just as much as I did when I first moved out. There's something about driving past Warner Brothers Studios or Skylark or just anywhere that we that work happens and magic
Yeah.
happens. There's something about being so close to that. But yeah, I love it out here. I wanted to get my degree, so I went to a small school in Texas and got my degree in theater. And then 2 days later, I was out here and homeless and just like, I need to make this happen.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was I'm curious. So when you moved out here, what was kind of the process of things? Like, did
Oh,
you not have a clue? Did you like, I got to find roommates. I got to like get an age. Like, how did everything kind of
well,
eventually
I
fall into place?
knew very few people out here, and I had booked a ticket to move out here. And if like 2 days before, the person I was going to room with texted me and was like, "Hey, man, I'm no longer able to." And I'm like, "No." So I still had my ticket, and I was like, "I'm going out there." So I still left. I didn't have a place to stay. Literally, when I landed, I didn't know where, or what I was going to do, but I knew a few friends, and one of them actually loved gaming. And I called him and I'm like, bro, game night tonight. And he's like, yeah, come over. And like, as we're playing, I don't even remember what video game it was. I just slowly fell asleep on his couch. And then the next morning I woke up, I'm like, I'm so crazy. Like I fell asleep on your couch, and I went out to my car and just like bust out crying because I was like, I don't have a place to live. And I just, so thankfully that day my older brother called me just to check in, and I was like, dude, it's amazing. I'm in Hollywood. And then I just broke down with him on the phone. And I was like, actually, I don't have a place to live. And he was so sweet. Him and his wife called me back like an hour later. They're like, hey, we talked to each other, and we want to put you up in a hotel for a little bit until you get things sorted. So it was just like thing after thing falling into place. My last day I had at that hotel, a friend from acting class had a space open up and brought me in with their crew, and just just things that I couldn't have. That seems to be kind of the story, Paul, is just surrendering, saying yes, and just things fall into place. It's the same with the Final Fantasy and Crisis Core, is just being open and yes, not trying to force things, but just being like, hey, I'm here. I'm here and I'm ready if it's an opportunity for me. And yeah, I'm really grateful that life has looked that way.
That's so beautiful. And I mean, gosh, it speaks, I think, volumes about who you are as a person, and having that family connection and the support from your brothers and your family.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gosh, that's amazing. And then to find the friends to do that, it is very much surrendering to allow the universe to give you these things, or whatever it is, to show to somebody like, hey, I need a place to live. And if you can understand that you're taking this risk, I'm here for a reason. It's going to work out. I'm going to make it work out. And then you communicate these things with your friends, your family, God, the world, the universe.
Right.
You invite those things to come to you. I think a lot of people, they instantly go towards like, that's it, I'm giving up, that's it, the negative, and they don't allow for the light to show them a way, a different way, or an opportunity to continue whatever those dreams might be.
I mean, yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. I think of Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, of he was sold into slavery, in jail for years, and then ended up becoming number 2 in Egypt. And I think if you give up at the jail portion of the story, you don't get to see the fulfillment of the Egypt part, and I think that's a big thing, is whatever the dream is, keep chasing after it. You need the community to remind you to keep going after it, and to remind you that it's a much bigger story than just, I haven't worked in 2 years, 3 years. I haven't booked something yet, I think you nailed it on the head.
What about the parts?
Can you be my therapist?
Yeah. Hey, can you be mine? Because dude, your positivity is infectious.
We'll just do sessions for each other.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's my turn.
I love it. What I was curious to now. So, you fell in love with Joseph because of the experience of all that stuff. What was it about when eventually you started performing and acting and you moving out to LA? What did it become within the acting part that really you fell in love with? Or what was it in the training that you fell in love with in the pursuit of booking jobs? Like, what is it about it that when you're doing when you say, I can't do anything else? What is that for you?
I love, Paul, becoming someone else and seeing life through their lens. I find, like we said earlier, people are just the most important thing to us, and everyone has a different story, a different upbringing. I find that for the most part, everyone's trying their best, and it's easy to look at someone's life, if it's not like yours, and to think like, well, why aren't they doing, XYZ, or why doesn't their life look like this? And there's something about acting that really just develops this compassionate heart in you, of you see that people are people. We're all trying to figure this thing out, and it's a powerful thing to see life from someone else's point of view. I think everyone should have to take an acting class in high school or college just to experience that, because I think it would make people a lot kinder and, just more understanding and compassionate to others.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it for you that, like, when you get that audition and you see you're going to be going in for whatever, ABC show on Thursday, is it the excitement of doing a big network show for you mixed with like, what is it for you?
I mean, I think it's very similar to what you're saying. It's that opportunity to, especially when there's a piece of it that I can resonate with on some
Mm,
level. Maybe it's not paralleled exactly, but there's a piece of the story that I really relate to. The triumph, the overcoming adversity, whatever the thing is. When I feel like I can be a part of telling that, so it's something about just that connection of being like, I'm gonna be a vessel in which a piece of this story. I love stories. I
yeah.
love TV, I love movies, I love video games, I love books. I love story, and I think it allows us to expand our mind to do the impossible, to realize that there's infinite possibilities to the way that we
Mm,
can experience this world, and we can all be heroes.
yeah.
I think that being a part of those stories always excites me the most. When it's kind of like you're an exposition character on an episode of Law and Order, it's just about getting that network credit and getting the paycheck. So it's not always that way. So I have to level and be real.
Yeah, coming in and saying the line like, "Do you want fries with that?"
Yeah.
Is not. It's a little hard to.
You know,
Yeah,
it's always been my dream to really put the salt on the fries and to be able to show people how well I can
right.
communicate. Do they want fries with that?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's it. And I think for anyone that has a dream, especially doing what we're doing, I from my end, if I was able to for doors to open, on my end, I think it can happen for anyone because I'm from a small Texas town. I didn't grow up, my with like my family really knowing about this. It's just a dream that I feel like God put in my heart, and doors have opened just by like what we talked about, surrendering and saying yes. So
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I'd say is just for anyone that has this dream is if it can happen for me, I promise it can happen for you as well. Because even for something like Final Fantasy, I didn't go in, knowing every detail of the game. I didn't go in being an expert player of the game. But I brought me and my voice, and it worked, for that. And so, yeah, I think I'd say just for anyone that's chasing this dream, please keep going after it if it's what you need to do, because we need your voice just as much as we need Paul or my voice. So, yeah, what would you say to someone that's like maybe someone that's listening to this that has the dream of doing this? What would be your advice or your advice to Paul 8 years ago?
Everything you just said, because you said it as beautiful as I could say
Mm,
it. It's you really, if there's nothing else you feel like you can do, and I don't think there's a mathematical equation you can say for
yeah,
why we love this. Really, it's really
right.
hard to discern the experience of being a part of the storytelling machine, whether that's on
Mm,
stage, in the booth, behind the lens, in front of the lens, whatever it is. When you have that connection of storytelling, it's so hard to describe the feeling you get while doing it, and the feeling of the influence that it has on people who get to consume it. It really, if you have that need, it's like you just said, just keep chasing it because it's possible. um
yeah.
it is tough. It is tough.
Mm,
And this is something else too for you. I mean, as much as I believe that the surrendering for you has opened doors, you do have a really good talent. You're good
oh
at
yeah,
this.
thanks.
You've
Yeah.
figured out a way of doing this, especially with comedy. I've gotten to see more of your stuff. I mean, you gotten to work with Anna Faris on a
Hmm.
sitcom. You got
Yeah.
to do the Fairly Odd Parents, Timmy Turner.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
curious for you. How did you, obviously surrendering is a part of it, and doing your best job, but how did those doors continue
Oh
to keep
yeah.
opening?
Yeah. I think it's a both and of surrendering and saying yes, but also being in training. My teacher Catherine always said, um, there's talent and then there's skill. So some people, have a natural talent, but skill has to be trained. And we always said at my acting studio, like skill will beat talent when talent doesn't want to work on skill.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think that there is an innate, a gifting of just yeah, a talent, and you have that as well, Paul. But then I'm sure you know too that going to the NYU, me going to school for this is you need to learn how to hone that skill. So when you get an audition for, Fairly Odd Parents, you're going in and doing something different than if I was going in for a Grey's Anatomy,
Yeah.
and that's where the skill comes in is learning. Okay, what am I playing with in these sides or the script? that's different, based on the genre.
Mhm.
But then it's also bringing your natural talent, I think. And a big thing for me that's been a cool, just repetitive trend is, with the imposter syndrome, I am a big personality. I'm a bit over the top. That's just who I am. And, when I go in for auditions, sometimes that's the feedback is like, yeah, he's a little like big for TV. And there's times, when I've had to adjust for that and shape my performance to fit the genre. But like with Fairly Odd Parents, the character description was he's over the top, and so some of these things, like with Zach,
Yeah.
he sees life, the glass half full. He's like a puppy dog. There's some things that come along that's just a reminder of like, hey, we still need you to be you, and I think that this industry will try to get you to shape of like, what does casting want, or what does this project want? And yeah, there is that in play, but there's also just the things that come along that just like fit you like a glove, and I think that to me is a reminder of your voice is just as valid as someone who's saying that you're not the right fit for whatever reason.
I hear that stuff all the time. I resonate so much with that note. I think we're
Mhm.
probably very similar in that way, in the ways that we.
Oh wait, hang on, let me.
No, you're good.
That was the dentist calling. I have a dentist appointment on Thursday.
A dentist? You got the most great teeth. You got the greatest teeth I've ever seen. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? You're gonna walk in there and they're gonna go, "Okay, you're good." Just making sure those still look the same.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. Wait, but what were you saying?
Oh gosh, what was I saying? No, I very much resonate with that type of note. I mean, one of the first TV notes I ever got from a casting director was, "Hey, Paul, there's a camera here and a microphone. We can hear you." And I was like, "Oh, because I'm playing to the stage.
To the stage,
but
right.
I'm a big personality that way.
Yeah,
But that has served me. My personality and my enthusiasm and explosiveness has served me more times than doing like play it more seriously. Like if I see the
right.
moment and it's through my vessel, this is the way it comes out. I've seen more success interpreting the ways that
Yeah,
I would interpret that versus like just do it stock, like be stern and serious. Like stern and serious is different for every single person.
right.
Explosive and happy is different for every single person.
Right. Yeah. I had a teacher that like compared it to ice cream flavors of, let's say, Paul, your flavor is mint chocolate chip. You may have the best mint chocolate chip flavor, but if casting's in the mood for strawberry, it's not going to be yours anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well be the best mint chocolate chip. So that way, when someone comes in looking for mint chocolate chip, like you're going to be the guy.
100%.
And I love that reminder of just really bringing you serves you more than trying to fit this mold of, if I had tried to be someone else for Zach, I don't think I would have gotten the role, because I was bringing me, and thankfully who Zach was and who I was really aligned. And that's such a great reminder, is bring you, bring you to the role. Yeah.
I think a lot of times artists, specifically actors, we think we need to be Daniel Day-Lewis and we have to have this ability to be every and anything. And while that is a great aspiration, one of the biggest piece of advice you can give to a writer is write what you know, bring your
right.
truth to the page,
Mhm.
tell the story that you believe only you or certain people can tell. And that's the thing that will resonate the most. And I feel that that's very similar for actors. While I want to play a talking frog with a French accent and he has a hop and he only hops on his
Right. That's your dream
feet,
role. Right.
while I want to do that stuff, there's also a lot of value in bringing the parts of me to those roles that I know allow me to shine through and make it unique. And, everyone can do their impression of what the specs are saying. They can try their best to do that. But what can you bring of yourself that is real, authentic, and true, that is going to make whoever's listening to 1,000 auditions for voiceover or looking at 1,000 tapes say, well, that got me out of my seat for a second. What was the truth behind that, or the authenticity? And it's often what is true about yourself, the thing that you're bringing to the role.
Yeah. It's the things that you see in the role that's true to you. It's bringing those, obviously if I'm playing someone who's like very sick in a Grey's Anatomy episode, I'm not going to bring in like, I have a lot of energy, like that. So, it's finding the things in the role that are like you and bringing those, highlighting those things, I think. That's Wow, this was a great acting class today.
Well, I hope that that's a lot of what we get from these episodes is learning from people who are like you, who've had tremendous success and wonderful opportunities and have gotten to stand on the stage and to share their voice and their talent, but also for the people who are like, how do I get there? And it's,
Mm,
I think the reoccurring thing that I've learned after doing, a year's worth of these episodes is that the journey is always different for everybody.
yeah,
And
right.
but the thing that I think recurs is that authenticity and being yourself, and the roles will find you so long as you allow yourself to continuously be true and
Yeah.
real and authentic. Because if you keep trying to be the version you think that they want you to be, you're just going to be the fake at every one of
Mhm.
those auditions, and
Yeah.
you're kind of crossing your fingers and saying, can I be the best impressionist of these adjectives and verbs that are written on the page?
Right. Yeah.
So
And there's right. And not every time that's going to hit, bringing you is not going to hit every time, but when it does, it's just going to it's yeah, it's so rewarding and yeah, I think you nailed it.
yeah, I would love to know, is there an experience you've had? I usually ask this of all of my guests, when I remember. Is there an experience that you've had through this journey or in your life that has left a profound impact on you that kind of shapes who you are as a person or as a performer, or it's a piece of advice that you think people would resonate with? It doesn't have to be related to the career. It doesn't have to be related to the industry. It could be related to
Mm.
life. I've had people talk about their relationships with animals, their relationships with their parents, getting fired from jobs, whatever it might be, but an experience that they were like, I took a lot from this. Do you have one of those
Mm.
ones that comes to your mind, like right off the top?
Yeah, I think the first one that the one that comes to mind is kind of in the similar vein of the Fairly Odd Parents thing. But when I was in eighth grade, I was bullied for my voice hadn't changed yet. I was developing very slowly, and I loved theater, and I was bullied for that. I specifically remember being at someone from my school, their like birthday party celebration, and there were some guys there that didn't know me that were making fun of just all of that, who I was, and it really like I remember coming home after the party and just sobbing with my parents, being like, "Why am I this way? Why am I not XYZ?" And I got an audition that came through that very next day for a role, and in the description of the character, it said, "Boys cannot have changed yet," and I just like the thing I was made fun of for was the thing that this project was looking for, and I ended up booking that role, and it was the
What?
coolest, just the coolest kind of antibody experience of realizing like sometimes the things that people try to get you to change about yourself is the thing that we actually need,
Yeah.
for what you're pursuing. And so, yeah, my biggest piece of advice would just be like, whatever you're pursuing, whether it's whatever kind of art or just anything, you are built the way that you're built for a reason, and you have these qualities for a reason. And the world may not always see the gifting of that, but if you can stay true to who you are and not try to be fit a mold or a puzzle piece that you're not, um, you're gonna be fine, and the right things are gonna come along. So yeah, that's the first thing that comes to mind is just the reminder of you bring you, and that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's your superpower. It's the
yeah,
people like to, I mean, obviously bullying is its own thing. I've experienced my own version of it as well in my life.
hmm
And that's often a reflection of their own insecurities and
yeah.
or jealousy, whatever it might be, and to not allow that to distract from the thing that makes you unique and
You that
beautiful
makes
and
you you.
worth. Yeah, it makes it,
Yeah.
makes you you.
What's
Um,
the first piece of advice that comes to you?
in terms of a story like that, I've said it, but I mean, mine. I mean, the first one that came to mind, I don't know if this is necessarily the one I would share, but I've said it maybe before too, is I had an animal. I had this cat I actually made, and it's so funny. Actually, here, great segue to all of this. I had a cat that I had for 12 days, and we named her Eris, and that's how much of a Eris, which was the English pronunciation in the first game. It was Eris instead of Aerith
Oh
in
my
the English.
gosh!
We named this cat Eris.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is over 10 years ago at this point now that we had this cat, and we had her for 12 days. And I had pets growing up, but having the responsibility and influence of being like the caretaker for some another being changed my life to understanding our influence that we can have not just on humans but also animals, and that we are all in this life relying upon each other, and you might be the caretaker for somebody or something, and
Mm,
to give as much love and foster as much care as you can. We have a very short time on this planet with people. Don't take any of those moments for granted. Live in the now. It really kind of, that experience having this cat for 12 days illuminated all these things to me, on how short a moment can be, how important humanity and having a life outside of the industry is, and to have
yeah.
the love and to be a loving, caring, and nurturing human being. It turned me vegan, like, which is crazy.
Wow.
It
Yeah.
like, it changed my whole life and perspective. So really just sitting and understanding that a moment you might be having right now, like I'm having with you, really sit in that moment and experience it. Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
Take those mental snapshots. Take those moments to really appreciate what's happening, because I think especially in this industry, something's happening and then it's gone, and you're like, what the
Mm,
heck did I just experience?
hmm
When did I record? Like, you know what I mean? How many
Yeah.
times I've said in my life, I'm like, I don't even remember like recording that. And now I feel like I'm trying more and more and more to allow the experience of working on something, find moments throughout the experience to have like benchmarks or landmarks of things, of like, I remember that day I
Mm,
really joked about this, or on the drive there I was listening to this song. And I try to
yeah.
just be more present and not
Mm,
allow this whole journey to be like, whoop, what just happened? You
wow.
know, where
Yeah.
am I? How did this happen? Where, you know?
Mhm.
And I think it's very helpful for interviews too, when
Wow.
you can
Yeah.
recall
Well,
things, you know, and be like,
that's resonating with, that's like advice I'm going to take for, yeah, just pursuing the dream. And I love that.
amazing. Dude,
Yeah.
if you don't mind humoring me really quickly before we
Yeah.
go here, Rebirth is almost a month away.
Yeah.
What is something, you know, obviously without spoiling here, what is something that you are excited about with this game, whether it be from your own experience or just from the fact that this is the second installment in the series? It's something that people are so excited about. I think
hmm
people are going to obviously love to hear about this, but what are you like most excited about this game?
Whoa. I think the best thing I can say without breaking any NDAs is just that the story's not over. I think that's what I'm most excited for is we thought that the story was over, but there's more to it. And I'm really excited for people that love Zach as much as, we do, to get to experience a new chapter in the story. I think it'll be really sweet.
Beautifully said. Amazing. Beautiful. Well, Caleb, what a wonderful way to end this episode. It's been an absolute delight and a
It's been
pleasure.
so much fun, Paul. Thank you so much. We should do this every day.
Yeah,
Like
let's do it.
maybe let's every day at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get on, do the podcast, right?
No, for real. I mean, this has really been one of the it's been a very honest and fun episode for me, and I could not think of a better way of getting back into the POX podcast here this
Mm,
way than with you. It really was. Thank you so much for your
this was
time.
so great. Yeah, thanks,
Thank you
Paul.
for your art and your truth and your honesty and what you do, and for
Mm,
bringing all the characters that you do to life. And really, honestly, thank you so much for sharing everything you did today.
thank you, Paul. It was an absolute joy, and I really mean that. Talking dream chasing and all of it with you. So thank you.
Heck yeah, embrace your dreams, baby. Keep
Yeah,
chasing
embrace
it.
your dreams, Paul.
All right, Caleb. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thanks. Okay, bye.
What a fantastic start to the second season here of the Points of Experience podcast. Truly, 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 ZACK FAIR is one of my favorite characters in all of the Final Fantasy franchise. He had this air of mystery and really being a hero that I resonated with. And I think Caleb really brings a part of himself that I see in myself. As a teen or in my early 20s, kind of wherever Zach lives within that age demographic, he has that youth and spunkiness and desire to be a hero that I feel like I have in my life and definitely had at that time in my life. And I think that's why the character resonates with a lot of people. He really is the embodiment of chasing your dreams, having honor, and being a good friend. Um, what a wonderful guy. I really can't wait to see what's in store with us in Rebirth. I can't wait to see more from Caleb. If you haven't checked out his stuff. He's been all over TV in a ton of stuff. We talked briefly about him as Timmy Turner. He's done numerous television episodes of things, worked on a couple of comedy series, which he's very funny at. So definitely check out his stuff. Follow him on wherever his social media is. I don't even know if he has Twitter, to be honest with you, but we'll find that out and we'll link it in the description. And before you leave, please like and follow and subscribe. Leave us a review on Spotify if you can. And it's been a real pleasure to be back here. If there's somebody you'd like us to have on, let us know. Shoot us an email, poxpodcast@gmail.com or info@pointsofexperiencepodcast.com. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. And we got more to come. Stay tuned.